Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Black artist sign and black in again, asking you to hit that share button. You've seen the title and you probably wonder how the video can be so short if this is the title. It's really simple. The game starts with this. Convince most women and most men that most men are actually subpar, substandard, and in the bottom 1% of what women want. Convince the men and the women of this. If you can't convince the women of this, it doesn't matter. You convince the men of this. When you convince the men of this, I swear, every time I record, somebody wants to interrupt. So when you convince the men of this, once that happens, the men now are in a position to be convinced that the real bottom 1% of the women are actually good deals for them. By the time that bottom 1% becomes a numerical majority, they've already become a psychological norm, accepted. Everyone thinks it's normal. By the time they become the majority, they've already been normalized. So it becomes easy to convince the men that this bottom tier performance on their part is a good deal for you. Now the men have to have game. They got to do and be and they got to do and be and have so much, including game, to convince bottom performing women to go with them. Oh, now that's game. Game is to convince the ones who should be the prize that they have to convince the others. Wow. Game is to convince the millionaire to talk me into taking his money. Think about that. That's what they did. Men can't pimp women. We the biggest hoes women got. You not understand that? That's game. Now, I've explained this and we're not even 3 minutes in. How did I come to this understanding? I'm not smart. I came to this understanding actually years ago, but I listened when people told me I was completely wrong because they were usually older than me. But the reason why I had this understanding and I didn't interpret their actions another way is because of pessimism. See, I've learned over the years that pessimism is actually correct when it comes to a lot of mysteries. It ain't that difficult then. People want to take as much as they can and perform as little as possible. The difference is that when people demand as much in exchange for as little as possible and expect it, then you can understand their motives. Oh, that is the motive for everything they do. They not only want something for nothing like we all do, they demand it. Or just too much in exchange for too little. They demand it, they expect it. Now I understand the motivations. Okay, they're looking for the benefit without the cost, the gain without the loss, and to still be the boss. Got it. Okay. That's their game right there. And we're not even 4 minutes in right now. Now, this being said, gentlemen, I want you to understand, those of you that are in the manosphere, they have a reason that they're going to come and try to convince you that you're a mean ass and you're lying and you're insensitive. They're going to come at you with this. What I want you to do is to start saving something up to make some moves. Legal name changes, negotiating terms of contract at your employers so that they cannot fire you due to outside political pressure except if there is evidence that you've broken the law. This way they can't just, fire you from your job because they got a phone call. And that if they do fire you for your job because they got a phone call, they have to take a name and a number and even an address of someone that made the phone call. Then you have someone to sue for the loss of your job. Or they have to reinstate you. Put these in these terms of contract from here on out. Because they want to dox and they want to get you fired. The thing that they want, remember, these are oftentimes gynocrat goons and matriarch mamdingos, as well as their bosses, who are willing to lie to men to turn them into exactly what women don't want so that they get taken for a ride and get used. They're willing to do this to their own sons. You think they wouldn't try to turn you into exactly what no woman wants, a homeless bum? They'll do it. That's their weapon. So if you're still in the States or in the West at all, and you're going to discuss this sort of thing, make sure that you got a way to duck and dodge the doxing and them getting you fired. And as a matter of fact, what I would say is preemptively dox the doxers. And if you can do that, sit on the information, and if they don't out you, don't out them. But the minute there's a phone call at your job and they say, we got to let you go, you say, hold up, slow your roll. I'm going to sue for wrongful termination unless you give me the name and the address of who called you and the number, or you at least let me hear a tape of the phone call. Now, if you can do that, all I want is 1 month's salary and I'm not suing you, and I'll sign an agreement for that. If you can't, I'm going to sue you off for wrongful termination. That's what you do. Or you have something saved up to where you can work for yourself in the meantime. That's how you do it. Initiate legal name. But you do whatever you got to do to make it difficult. And I would like for any of you who know ways to make it difficult for people to dox you to share this with me, and then I'll share it with the masses, inshallah. But we're 7 minutes in now, not even 8 minutes in. And you've now learned exactly what the game is. The game is to put you in a position to need game. And understand this, do not let anybody come along and tell you that there's some natural reason for this. That's not the case. See, in other cultures, there's not even necessarily a word for it. Charm, that does exist. But game, no, that word does not exist in this context. There's no direct translation. If you directly translate the word game into any other language, it means a literal sporting game. It does not mean the ability to attract women at all. And there's another thing. I'm going to answer a question right now and then I'm going to bounce out. You can ask why it is that I don't talk about business and money. Well, I'm not a business expert. But here's another game, okay? And I know this from spying on white folks for years and watching us. If you have a black-owned business and you want it to succeed, convince the public it's not black-owned. There you go. There is your secret. Now I can't use it because the competition is going to be too stiff. You want a black business to succeed, hide the fact that it is black owned, or you will face discrimination, guaranteed. Hands down, it will happen. You want to man your business, act like you're the manager, but not the owner. That's it. You have no other way to succeed in a Western white supremacist context except for that. Or you move to a place where everybody's black and hope that you can make the same amount of money there, because there's a reason the black majority countries have bad economies. It's by design. That's it. Because if white folks know it's black owned, they'll boycott it. And if black folks know it's black owned, they're coming for the handouts and the hookup, not to hand you any money. Now we've got that under control. Now I've got that answered. Now, before 10 minutes is up, I will answer one more thing. Why do I always bring it back to women and sex? Because women are important to men and men are important to women in real life. We may learn to live our lives without them, but that's something we learn. Neither of us are born this way. So I bring it back to them because they start off as an important part of life that we learn to live without. And the other reason I always bring it back to the sex is because that's what they want to withhold as their power. That's it. So they want to sit up and tell you that you should not make it all about the sex. And then when they see a guy that has swag, which also can't translate into other languages, by the way, then all of a sudden it's all about the sex. The only reason they're telling you not to make it about the sex is to guilt you into providing everything non-sexual they need so that they can take those benefits and then go to someone else for only the sex. So make it about the sex, or she will never respect you. I think I've covered all the grounds I need to in exactly 10 minutes and a few seconds. It should have taken a lot longer to explain the game, I guess. But pessimism really makes a lot of things easier to understand and explain, doesn't it? And it wasn't the men that made it this way. That being said, I need to go to lunch and see who the hell was banging on my door when I was trying to talk to y'all. So, Blackheart, the blackest man on social media, shining and signing black out. Assalamu alaikum, black male power, just because they don't like it.